And welcome into the Bulldog Blitz. I'm Gerhard Mathangani, joined in by the head coach of the Anniston Bulldogs, Eddie Bullock. And Jacksonville came into town for the home opener, came up just a little bit short. First off, your overall thoughts about just the way this game played out. 31-12 was the final score. Just the way that the preparation worked out and the way your team played Friday night.
Well, it was a hard-fought game. Jacksonville pretty much did what we expected them to do offensively, and they just made a few more plays than we did, and we were a little bit flat. Just maybe half a step behind what they were doing, and it showed on the score, and they was well deserving of it. They played just a little bit better than we did.
They picked up their first win last week in a 1-point win over Hoax Bluff. Did you sense some confidence in that group as they played Friday night?
Well, it was a big game with them coming to us in our first home game.
Mm-hmm.
They knew it was a key to their success for the remainder of the season, and we wanted to kind of deflate them from that, and with it being our first home game, we had the momentum on our side, and we just needed to take advantage of it, and we just failed to do so.
Absolutely. The week of preparation, how it all played out as you got to the game Friday night. Talk about just the way that everything played out. Obviously, the week before, it was all different because of the hurricane, and you had shorter days to prepare. How was this past week?
Well, this past week was a regular week. We were able to get in, basically our normal days of practice. I believe Tuesday maybe we had to cut it a little bit short because of the rain, and but we were still able to do some board work, whereas the week before we didn't get a chance to practice for 2 days because the hurricane. So it was a little bit more normal, to what we typically do, but we just came up a little bit short.
Absolutely. In this region, we talked about it just about every week last year, and then now that all the games are now on the opposite side, like Jacksonville, you got them at your place, and then you now go to the non-region game and then back to this region. Talk about how tough this region has been so far. You've played a few region games and some of the things you've seen early on.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, anybody in this region can beat anybody. It just depends on who's playing better on that particular night. And then, of course, you kind of weigh in the factors of home field advantage. And, all the teams are pretty well equal. As we played Jacksonville, the score is not indicative of how the game was played.
That's right.
But, it's just the reason it's so tight. Everybody's pretty much on the same level, and there's no front runner.
Right.
Even though the records, show certain teams with certain wins and losses, there's no distinct front runner in our region.
Absolutely. Coming up next here on the Bulldog Blitz, we'll break down the first half highlights from Anniston's home opener against Jacksonville. And we're back here on the Bulldog Blitz. First half highlights. Coach talked about the early part of this game and just the way that the things played out here.
Well, of course, when we were on the first drive, you can see Jacksonville here. We lost a little gap integrity. They ran a power play right here. They ran the jet, and you can see right there we had a missed tackle, didn't wrap up. And, anytime they get to the second and third level, that means that your guys up front are not doing what they need to do. And I believe in 5 plays, we basically just let them walk into the end zone, and then we came back on our first drive, and we made a couple of nice passes, and we dropped back here, and we had a little fullback flare, and we were doing pretty well, and we kind of stalled on it. As you can see here, they ran the jet sweep that we knew that they would run, and we pretty much stuffed that play in the backfield. Right there, you can see a hard hit on the power play right there, and slip screen right here. We were able to cover that, and we basically knew exactly what they were going to run, and we got a 3 and out on that particular series, and we came back and we got K. O'Neal isolated on a cornerback, and we gave him a go route and threw it up, and he basically scored. And of course, we had a missed assignment on the PAT. We were supposed to block down, and we had one player that blocked out, and they were able to blow that gap up and block the PAT. So instead of the score being tied, we were down 1 point. And you can see here we were moving the football, and we ended up stalling out the drive. Right here you can see the defense pretty much playing lights out, and We went into the second quarter with the score basically the same, and we had an opportunity to move the football a great deal, but we had some situations where we just didn't take advantage of opportunities that we had. You see right here on the slip screen, we had the guy up on the tackle and he didn't wrap up, and as a result, instead of tackle for loss, they gained about 5 yards. And you can see here we had an opportunity. They went for a field goal right here, and we were able to block the field goal. So we were still playing pretty well throughout. And we, at one point, we let Jacksonville flip their field position on us, and that started hurting us. On this particular drive here, we were able to pin them back. Got a great punt and pin them back in a matter of about maybe 30, 40-something seconds. We let them score right before halftime, and that was crucial to us. That sort of hurt us right there.
Absolutely. There you see the score 14-6, but like you said, there was just tons of opportunities, especially early, where the defense was playing well and the offense was able to move the football. And it's like we talk about it all the time, it comes really down to fundamentals.
Right. And I tell the guys, hey, we can put you in position and we can work on it all week, but the bottom line is on Friday nights, you have to go out on the football field and execute what we've been practicing daily. And we did it in spurts, but we haven't gotten that consistency as of yet. We've been playing well, but I'm concrete sequential, and I want everything just done in order, and done at the right time. And we just picked the wrong times to have mental lapses.
Absolutely. We always talk after this first half about how you take a look at a team on film and then the way they look Friday night. Was it about the same as far as size, physicality, the way they attacked the line of scrimmage? Was it about the same as you thought?
Absolutely. The one thing at halftime, I was extremely upset at our team because the very things that we had worked on all week, we executed some of the time, and some of the time we didn't. And I was just, I was just tore up because they didn't throw any wrinkles or do anything differently than we expected, and we just didn't make the plays that we needed to make.
Absolutely, and that kind of leads into my next question about the expectations about what they were running. And so I'm sure at that point there's not a ton of adjustments you have to make. It's just doing the things that you were already doing a little bit better.
Well, the biggest adjustment we had to make was wrapping up. We were at plays where we had guys that we had tackles for losses, and guys didn't wrap up. They just shot, old school, they shot the chicken wings, and the guy would bounce off the tackle and keep moving, whereas, we do a tackling circuit every day where we wrap up, drive the guy back 5 yards, and get them down, and we didn't execute. For some reason, we just, every guy kind of went off on their own.
Right. K. O'Neal obviously had the touchdown, and he's been playing well here recently.
Right. Well, he's a big mismatch, and that's another thing that we have to work on. That's an adjustment I'll make as a head coach. I think there are some opportunities that we can take advantage of as far as personnel, and I'm going to limit the substitution abilities of the assistant coaches and position coaches. I'm going to narrow that down basically to myself and my offensive coordinator, because there are certain situations where you need certain personnel on the field, and when you're giving the assistant coaches a little bit of free reign to kind of substitute, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator may make a certain call, but you may not have the personnel that you want out there with that particular call. So, that's something I have to fix.
Absolutely. Coming up next year on the Bulldog Blitz, take a look at second half highlights, and then a little bit later on, we will take a look at Anderson's non-region game coming up in Week 5. Stay tuned. Back here on the Bulldog Blitz, second half highlights. And Coach, you walked in the third quarter only down 14-6.
Right. Well, we decided that we were going to come out and make a difference. We had to kick off to them, and of course you can see we got great coverage on the kickoff. Right here they threw a little 5 and out right there, and you can see we was on top of that. And right here we should have had an interception. Cornerback Shariah Brown made an excellent play on it, and this particular play, we came back and had 2 mental busts. The outside linebacker didn't go with the same guy, and then the safety came up, didn't wrap up on the play. And instead of us making them punt the football. We give up a touchdown. And right here you can see they got the ball back. We actually went out on the 3 and out, and we had to give the ball back up, and we kind of gave up field position again. And you know, we were working and working pretty tough. You know, they kept trying to punch it in, and we were able to stall this drive, and they went for a field goal attempt and actually made the field goal attempt, which I was proud of the defense that particular time, because we kind of let Jacksonville flip the field position on us. And right here, we were giving too much of a cushion on the receivers, and you know, I think we should have been a little bit tighter on the receivers, but you can see flashes right here when we completed our assignment. We stuffed them in the backfield. Right here, we ran a little double reverse pass right here, and we didn't get enough on the pass. We had the receiver back behind the guy, but we underthrew the pass, and ended up they scored. And of course, on this particular play, we came back and we had the linebacker and defensive lineman in the same gap, and they were able to score. And that touchdown there kind of opened it up for them, you know. And we came back. We still fought right there. You see C.J. Ramsey made a great catch on that particular play out of bounds. You know, he was able to get foot down and get in bounds. And right here, you see the quarterback makes a great run. And we were able to get the ball down in the red zone right here, and we maintained control of it. We had a little wheel route call right here, and you know, we were able to just move the football right here. We scored on that particular play, and right here we had a 2-point conversion call. The quarterback was supposed to flip the football in, but he was actually supposed to pitch it to the outside guy, and he didn't pitch it. And you know, that's one of those things where, you know, we might have been a little selfish on that particular play, and you know, we had good energy, good urgency, but we just didn't do the thing we needed to do. And of course, this right here at the end of the game, and you know, basically they ended up finishing us off.
Right, 31-12 is your final score there. One of the things that we've always talked about is you know, whether it's adjustments or whether it's trick plays and anything like that. And it really comes down, like we were talking about in that first half, where if you execute your fundamentals, and you've
Right.
done this in wins, where you execute your fundamentals, then you throw the other team where they have to do things kind of out of their
Right.
rhythm. Do you feel like it was kind of like that way on the other side?
Absolutely. They, you know, we just didn't execute the things that we did. Jacksonville, I don't think they forced us out of what we typically do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we made bad decisions, you know, on the particular plays that we run. You know, there were situations where the quarterback should have maybe pitched the ball and didn't pitch it. There were situations where we should have thrown the ball and we ran it. You know, we vacated the pocket, I mean, just immediately. And, you know, those are just things that, you know, you can't coach that. The player has to take care of that on the field.
Right.
And we went, you know, I basically told them that, you know, all the work that we did for 6 weeks, we basically went back to some of the thinking that we did in the last couple of previous years, because, you know, and which were basically selfish plays. You know, if you know, you got to understand it's a team sport, and when you make team plays, you know, things work out for the better.
Absolutely. We always show the highlights, and sometimes some guys are some unsung heroes. Or who are some of the guys maybe at spurts of the game had either a decent game, a solid game, or maybe better than expected?
Well, my cornerback on defense, Shariel Brown, number 14. I was extremely proud of him. He was probably the most focused guy throughout the entire game, you know, for the team. He did well, and you know, it made a lot of difference, because he's one of the guys in the past that I may have had to get on about, you know, staying focused, not going to sleep in the secondary. And you know, but other than that, I think everybody else just maybe played average. You know, we didn't really do what we needed to do, you know, or we didn't even play the same way we played the last 4 games. So I was just a little disappointed in us playing so flat.
Absolutely. We always talk about some things to work on, but I feel like in this situation, they're all correctable mistakes, or all correctable things that you could cut on the film and then automatically say, hey, we work on this blank day and blank period on, you know, during the week.
Well, we typically go watch film on Sunday afternoons, and you know, I guarantee you we'll spend about maybe an hour and a half on the film and just going through the fundamental and the mental aspect of what we did not accomplish, and because it's not, I don't think it's so much the physical aspect on the field, even though I typically believe that we may not have played as hard as we should have, and in that case, practice is not as hard as the game. So, I'm looking at ways of trying to increase, the intensity in practice, where the game won't be that hard.
Absolutely. We've always talked about how these Anderson teams a lot of times play well in the second half of the season. Now that you're about to take this break, do you feel like this can be kind of a recharge as you go back into the second part of your region play in week 6?
Well, we have no choice. We a little bit better off this year than we were last year. Last year we were 0-4 going into our week 5, and this year, I mean, not much better. We have 1 win, and we have 1 key win, which is a region win. So, that's always a positive. And we're going to clean up some things against Pell City, and then when we start the second half of region play, we have no choice. It's everything. We have to approach it with a sense of urgency.
Absolutely. Well, coming up next year on the Bulldog Blitz, we go now into week 5, a non-region game against a very tough opponent. We'll break down the Bulldogs and the Pell City Panthers coming up next. Welcome back to the Bulldog Blitz. We are now going into week 5 of the season. Coach, we always talk about how you like to schedule these tough opponents, and Coach Keith Etheridge and the Pell City Panthers come to your place Friday night.
Well, Pell City is traditionally always a tough team, much larger school, and basically we just look for a dogfight at Friday night, and we just hopefully we clean up a lot of the mental mistakes, and we do the things we need to do to compete.
Absolutely. We always talk about the way these games, whether it's Sylacauga at the beginning of your season, Pell City in the middle of your season, teams like Fort Payne that you've played in the past, towards the end of your year, really help you out overall. And I feel like this is going to be one of those situations as well.
Well, the tougher the opponent, theoretically, the better it should prepare you for the postseason, and that's the goal. We play tough teams. By the time you get to the playoffs, you'll have the best teams, but it's not anything that you unaccustomed to, because you played those type of teams throughout the season, and basically we're just looking forward to it.
Absolutely. As we shoot today, I know you haven't had a full breakdown of Pell City, but what are some of the things that you've seen in the past and some of the things you expect from them Friday night?
Well, just a power team. Pell City like to line up foot to foot and run right at you and just overpower you, overmatch you, and we just have to answer that one-on-one challenge, and I think we can answer that challenge. It's just a matter of us having the right mindset when we approach the game.
Absolutely. We'll always talk about these region weeks 1 through 4, 2 through 4, and then the backside of it. How good is it to have kind of a reprieve in the middle of your season to evaluate?
Well, it can be good and it can be bad. In our situation, we play an extremely tough opponent. Some teams play maybe an opponent that's not as good, and you can get a false sense of security. But we basically, I like to play a team that kind of keep us on our toes, and I think that we're going to have an opportunity to be okay.
Absolutely. Taking a look here at the Class 4A Region 5 standings, and really outside of Sacs and the White Plains, who are 3-0 and 0-3 respectively, everybody else is really kind of bunched in there in the middle.
Well, as you can see, last week we had everybody in the middle. We was at 1-1, and I knew half the teams in the middle would have 2 wins, and half of them would have 2 losses. And unfortunately, we were on the back end. But I still believe that this region can possibly even be won with two losses.
Right.
It just depends on how you approach it. So I'm being optimistic. We put ourselves in a hole, but we're not as bad off this year as we were last year. And everybody that we play after the week 5, we have an opportunity to beat. We just have to perform.
Absolutely. And like you said, really nobody's out of it as far as just the overall race.
Right.
And we'll talk about that aspect of it, where knowing that nobody has it won yet. Nobody wins a championship in week 4 of any season, and nobody loses it in week 4 of any season. So there's got to be, I would think, some happy motivation going into it, knowing that largely we can control what we do.
Well, you got a few of those teams in the top that still have to play each other. Jacksonville got the bucket there, the top echelon out of the way, but you still have Sachs and you have Hoax Bluff that, you know, we have to contend with it. We control our own destiny because we play both of those teams, you know, and fortunately I have both of them at home. So, you know, that's all the motivation we need. We have opportunity and we playing at home, and all we got to do is take care of business. We take care of business, we control our own destiny.
Absolutely. Speaking of playing at home, you played your home opener last week after a bunch of weeks on the road, and then you're back at home, back at your place this week. Talk about just being able to get accustomed to, you know, not traveling, not having to do much as far as getting ready for an outside game, a second straight game here at home.
Well, I was glad to be back at home, you know, and you know, the atmosphere was great. We had a nice fan support. Just a little bit disappointed that we didn't give the fans what I thought we should give them, and you know, that's my fault, and I promise them we'll do better next time. But you know, I just, you know, that again, that's enough motivation for me to be playing in front of the large crowd that we played in front of, and you know, just playing a tough opponent, and you know, some kind of way I got to get that mindset over to the players.
Absolutely. And at the same time, too, I would feel that, you know, playing at home for the players, there's an extra sense of motivation for them going up against, quote unquote, one of the big dogs in Class 6A.
Well, it should be. I mean, you know, they already know based on our schedule, region-wise and non-region-wise, that there are no cakewalks, you know, and I hate to use that terminology, but, you know, we could easily be 0-10, and, you know, we could easily be 10-0. It just depends on how we approach it, and I like that because you had a constant pressure each week of having to perform, and if you don't perform, you'll get embarrassed.
Absolutely. You don't have to give me the game plan of the way you're going to handle it, but some of the things that you do in practice and some of the things that you do in preparation, how's that going to change? Is that going to change, or is it one of the things where you might tweak it, or is it an overall broad sense of, hey guys, this is what we need to execute better?
Well, one of the things that I plan on doing, which I don't mind sharing, is the fact that we're going to be a little bit more physical. You know, I think that for some apparent reason we don't go out with the mindset that we need to be physical enough, and some coaches be overly physical, and then on Friday nights you be a little bit beaten up. But you know, I've tried it kind of in the medium, and you know, I think we need a little bit more intensity in order for us to understand the importance of it, you know, because like I said, everybody have a plan until you get hit in the mouth, and once you get hit, then that plan changes. And, you know, I think we got hit in the mouth and we couldn't adjust to it, you know. We just started having too many mental lapses, and, you know, so we're going to hit each other in the mouth for a couple of days, and hopefully we be ready to play Friday.
Absolutely. We always talk about some, like a one specific thing that, you know, maybe on the verge of being right where you want it to be. When you cut the film on this time next week, what's that, maybe that one thing or two or three things that you want to see some tangible improvements?
Well, just a mindset, you know, and that's hard to see on the film, but, you know, I tell all my kids they should grade out 100% in effort, and I just don't think the effort, you know, we played hard, but I don't think we had 100% effort all the time, and you can give 100% effort out, that's possible. And I just don't think that we gave that. And, you know, we played in spurts. You know, we had some guys saying that, you know, they didn't go hard on certain plays because they didn't want to come out the game because they were tired. Well, we have to teach them you got to go hard every play, and if that means you coming out the game, you got to come out the game.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, good luck to you. Lot Mosby Memorial Stadium on Friday night, 7 o'clock. Anniston and Pell City go out and support the Bulldogs. We'll be back next week right here to break it all down on the Bulldog Blitz.